See, I'm gonna fix something here. There's something that's bugging me. So first thing I might do is I might just decide to bring this whole upper body down a little bit. If I just go in here to the upper body, I'm in the graph editor. I just selected the whole curve, just dragging across the curve selects the whole thing. Got the move tool on. Here, if I just hit F, it frames it a bit more. I'm just going to move it down a little bit. You'll notice if I middle click, I can hold it and move it down. You'll see it's moving down over in the side window as well. So I can move it down a little bit. Okay, just in case that's where my little popping is coming from. I don't think it is, but I think the popping is actually located probably on the translate Y. And you can see it right there, and I'll just pull this down. And I could make it flat. Take this one here, I'm going to pull that down a bit. Maybe change that little arc. Whoop. Okay, so it isn't too sharp. There we go. And let's see how that knee looks. It's not popping quite so much, and I'm just going to do the same thing to the other one over here. Boop. Actually, I personally don't like them to be identical, but that's one of my things. And again, if I grab the whole thing and I hit F, I get a finer look at it, and I can see this little thing is off a little bit, and I'll just pull that down. And okay, take this one. Just make that curve smooth, and if I press play, that little thing I can see in there isn't bugging me quite as much. Okay. Some other things I can do in here is maybe because the feet are pointing forward, this kind of bugs me too. I'm just going to go here and if I look at the rotate Y on this, I can go and grab the curve, and if I middle click and I'm moving and holding down shift, okay, I can kind of arch it out a little bit. If I put it at, say, what do we got here, 15 degrees, marching. When you're marching, if you're in the military, I think it's going to be something like 15 degrees. And then I would do the same thing over here to the rotate Y. And this time, instead of going down, I'm going to be going up. And I'll just do something like that. Okay, maybe I might even bring it back a bit. It's looking too, what's the word I want to use? Just looks a little bit pushed. So I'm going to bring it back, say around 10-ish. Okay, and again, I don't care about being perfect. As well, you could also do things too, like your translate X, which is your side to side of your feet, just going in here and grabbing the curves. If I hold down shift, I can see this foot. I might want to move it in towards the other one, right? And if I do this a little bit, whoop, and then I'll do the same thing over here. I'm just going to grab that and translate X, grab that one, and it should probably go in the other direction. There we go. Okay. So there, I've kind of taken care of some feet stuff. And now that I got the feet kind of out of the way, and again, I could go and finesse those and do other things to the feet, but I think I should be fine. What I want to do now is look at the upper body here a bit more. I'm going to go back in. Basically, I just put the feet in so they're not distracting, and then I can go in and start horsing around the upper body. And the next thing I want to do is take a look at this, and did I move some stuff around? No? Okay, so we got that little bit in there. Okay, great. I'm going to look here at the translate X this time. And you know that here on the very first frame, basically all the weight is being transferred over to this side. Okay, so I'm just going to go and move this over here a few units and see how that looks. And I'm just going to go in here and keyframe that. Boop, right click, key selected. And I'll make sure the last frame is identical. So I'm just going to go in here, right click, key selected. Then I'll go to frame 13, and I want to push it the other way, so I'll just go over this way and see roughly right around there, something like that. I think that's pretty close, if not exactly the same. Key selected. Now I'll press play. Okay, this is getting better. But you'll notice too, I'm transferring back and forth the weight. And it's kind of looking like maybe it almost should work, but it's not there. Because if I go to about the halfway point, you can see it's already transferring back. Okay, see how right in here we get to the mid frame here, and this should still be sitting over here. Okay, and so I'm just going to make sure that's keyed in, key selected. Okay, and so there's going to be a bit of a weight transfer. I'd have to figure out exactly where. I could probably even move this one around a little bit. Now the weight's over here, and the same thing over here. It shouldn't be drifting across yet. This should be something right around, I'll say right there. Okay, key selected. And now when I press play, okay, we're starting to get a bit more of what it's like. And I exaggerate it. Okay, it's always easier to exaggerate this stuff. And then when I go into the graph editor, if I take a look at it and I go to translate X and I hit F just to frame it, and I can see that I've got some funny curves here. Maybe I want to go in here and let's pause this for a second. Just going to go in there and do a little bit of this action, take this, do a little bit of this action here, so it's kind of hovering here. And I'll just kind of do this to give me a little bit of an arc. Take that one and take that one at the same time, flatten them. And then if I grab the little handle, this one and then this one, I can arc them and play with them at the same time to make the arc blend into the next. So if I was to put this in, I go curves, post-infinity cycle. You see I'm getting nice little curvy lines going all the way across. And now if I press play, okay, great. And I'm just going to go and grab my scale tool. I always exaggerate the movement. And then if I go in here and I middle click, boop, and I bring it down, I can subtle it down. Okay, because you don't want to really draw attention to it too much. You just want it just so that movement's happening. Great. Okay, so now that I've got this done, or more or less done, and remember, you're really not moving the translate Z forward and backwards or anything like that. And I probably, on the upper body, I rarely go in and play with the rotates when I'm just doing this kind of straight cycle thing. You might come up with a reason for it, but I'm not going to do it right now. And I'm just going to go here and I'm going to start hassling the hips. On the hips, these are all going to be rotations, so I don't need any of the translates or the stinking scales or the visibility, so I'm going to right click and lock and hide. All we're dealing with is rotations here on the hips. And if I go to the very first frame, okay, you know that this leg is coming forward here, so this hip should rotate out, and it's also going to be, it's kind of like it's reaching, okay? I'm going to do something like this, and it's going to be having a cross section, something like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit S, and I'm just going to go to the last frame, and hit S, so it's exactly the same. I'll go to frame 13, and I'm going to go and rotate this back, something like this, okay, boop, and I'll come down a bit more there, and I'm going to hit S, and now when I press play, get some nice sexy hips going. And again, we got a few problems in here. One of the big problems is, first off, as soon as he comes in here and the foot comes down to the ground, it catches the weight of the upper body. So it's going to come to about here, 2 or 3, and this is going to crack. Okay, because all the weight is being transferred onto this, and so this one here, there's no weight on it, so it transfers down. So I'm just going to go and hit S, and I'm going to do the same thing over here when we go to 15. Okay, the weight is being transferred down, something like this. I'll go and hit S, and now when I press play, okay, get this nice little sexy walk happening. And anything else I want to do with this? I think I should be fine right now. Again, I always exaggerate, so then all I have to do is grab this and go into the graph editor, grab these curves, and I can smooth them out and play with them a little bit. This one here, that looks a little bit, I like them to have a nice little curve going into each other, nothing too weird, okay, but whatever. And let's just go and hit F, get all the curves, and if I go and grab my scale tool, I'm just going to subtle them back. Oop. Okay, and then I'll press play. Okay, and again, I could subtle it down even more, but got the general movement going that I'm happy with. And what are we at? We're at 9 minutes. Okay, I'm going to stop before I go into the upper body.